Thanks everybody for coming. Please excuse me for reading this, but if I don't read it, I leave stuff out. This event is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, a 501c3 educational corporation which is dedicated to the support of positive atheism and the separation of church and state. Here's some events we have that are coming up during this month. Next Sunday is our board meeting at Romeo's. We now do that after the regular meeting. Members are welcome to listen, participate, and can't vote. Tuesday, February 10th is ACA's 12th birthday. Yeehaw. And Thursday, February 12th. What's that? Everybody knows. Come on.
Darwin.
Happy hour. Darwin's what? 200th birthday. It's also Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday.
He's dead, though, so I think we'll stop counting.
But there's a lot of media coverage going on. It's a big, way cool deal. Saturday the 21st is our Adopt a Street cleanup to keep abreast of these and other events, including weekly meetings, happy hours, our TV and internet shows. Check our website at atheist-community.org. Today, ACA presents Matt Dillahunty. Several years ago, lifelong Christian Matt Dillahunty delved into apologetics in an effort to be a better and more persuasive defender of the faith. He was sabotaged in this enterprise by his own intellectual honesty and found his way to atheism in our little community. Since joining ACA, Matt has worked tirelessly. He has hosted the Atheist Experience TV show during a period of growing worldwide popularity. And if you watch the show, you know this is definitely true. He's a permanent fixture on the Nonprofits radio show, as it has grown from a small audience to being one of the most popular atheist podcasts available, with thousands of regular listeners. Matt is currently serving his third term as ACA's president and has led the group with fairness and intelligence. Under Matt's leadership, ACA has not only survived but prospered, becoming a more diverse organization that not only serves its members socially but intellectually as we fight to defend the ideas we think important. Some of you may be aware that one of Matt's hobbies is magic. He will draw on that experience today in his presentation titled How to Fool the Mind. Please welcome a true defender of rationality, clear thinking, ACA's own Matt Dillon.
I'm going to have Don write all my introductions. As a matter of fact, my 40th birthday is March 31st, and if things go as planned, they're supposed to be sending me the contract information. I'll be actually doing my first major lecture at a major university. I'll be at Penn State on the night of my birthday. So I'm going to have you write the introduction for that and have them read it. There was an error, though. I don't work tirelessly. I'm tired. Tired quite a bit. Also, this lecture kind of came about spur of the moment because it's often difficult, especially during the winter months and everything else, to find lecturers that have some expertise. And when that happens, I tend to volunteer because I have a lot of interests. I do a lot of things. I read a lot, and I like to share. And plus, you can get me to talk for 90 minutes without taking a breath. So I've done a couple other lectures on the history of the biblical canon, on belief, and on hell and art and the history of hell. And every one of those had to start with a disclaimer that I'm not in any way an expert. I'm not a biblical scholar or anything else. I'll skip the disclaimer today. We're stepping a little bit outside of my area today. Also, my lecture notes are partially incomplete because I've been working 60-hour weeks. If there was a way to accurately predict the future, I was thinking on the drive over, it sure would have been nice to be able to predict that so I could correct it. And then there's, of course, the time travel paradox of if I could actually predict it, I couldn't correct it because then the prediction would be wrong. But I've been interested in magic, prestidigitation, legitimate, whatever you want to call it, conjuring, for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a little kid. And then, as a kid, I used to watch magicians on the television, and they were huge heroes of mine. Doug Henning, Mark Wilson, in particular, when I was young. I became a magic junkie, and I wanted to find out how everything was done. I wanted to fool people. I wanted to be the guy on the TV. I wanted to be the guy with the secret knowledge that made people laugh or stand in awe or whatever. As it turns out, that's not quite the way things really work. And as I moved towards, as a kid, I had a handful of decks of cards because my family had tons of cards and they played games. a couple books on self-working card tricks, the obligatory Hatful of Magic and other kids' magic sets, and I thought I was just phenomenal, because that's what your parents tell you in order, they don't see the handkerchief that's in your hand. In my teens, I was a fan of guys like David Copperfield, but I realized that, and during that time, that stage magic and close-up magic were two very, very different things. I don't want to speak poorly of anybody in particular or any aspect of magic, because I have a great deal of respect for all of them. They're all, even the guys that I would make fun of, they are successful performers. Stage magic, a lot of those people, you could look at it like Britney Spears. She probably doesn't write much of her own material. There are songwriters out there that write the stuff. And you can say that for other people. I just picked Britney off the top of my head. And that's the way a lot of stage magicians are. Some of them are very creative. I don't want to take anything away from them, but they borrow from other people, or they directly buy from people whose only job is to design illusions, especially grand, complex illusions. I have a great deal of respect for those people. They have an insight into the way the mind works, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit, and I'm not going to stand up here and talk forever and bore you. I've brought a handful of tricks to just kind of experiment around with. But I wanted to eventually, when I was a kid, I wanted to one-up Houdini. And by doing a better, faster version of Metamorphosis, which is his most famous illusion. For those who aren't familiar, essentially, the magician is bound, placed in a bag, which is inside of the box. The box is secured. The assistant climbs up on top of the box, raises a curtain, and when the curtain lowers, it's the magician standing up free on top of the box, and the box is open, and the assistant is now bound inside of the box. And the change happens really fast. Houdini wasn't nearly as fast as what you could see now, and I saw this. I didn't have any access. There wasn't an internet back then. And my access to finding out how tricks were done was kind of limited. You go to the public library, check out a book, or perhaps if you're really lucky, you have a magic store in town and can talk to those people. When I decided I wanted to one-up Houdini, I didn't bother to do any of that. I designed and built my own box. I reverse engineered how I thought he probably did it, came up with a solution, and tried it out at the church. This box was ginormous. You could have fit 5 full-grown adults in it. Basically, I took whatever materials I had, which happened to be plywood, and built this huge plywood monstrosity that you needed a stepladder in order for the assistant to get up on top, and it barely supported his weight. It was crappy, but it worked, and we actually did the trick, and I had fun with it. We were not faster than Houdini or faster than anybody, because getting on top of a box like that is a painful, time-consuming process. I designed and built a second box. This is the process everybody goes through for everything. When you're solving a problem and you start with what you want to achieve, and you can work backwards, and you experiment a bit. The first box wasn't a complete failure. It worked. The trick worked. People applauded. Of course, I'm sure most of them were just being nice. But I built a second box, and this box was phenomenal. This box was made of 1x pine, unfinished, looked very professional, was open so that people could come up and actually inspect it before the illusion began. They could secure me in there on their own without, the assistant's help, close the box, everything. It was perfect. And we practiced this in my basement for a long time. A friend of mine from the church named Kurt Lance, I recruited. He was into magic as well, and I needed an assistant. He was a friend in the right size, and so we did it. In the basement, over and over and over and over and over again, until we were faster than Houdini. If you watch old clips, I was faster than magicians that I saw on television, and that's when I said, I'm the next big thing. I've done it. I've achieved this, and it's going to be great. And without giving away, and by the way, I'm not going to be giving away too much today, so if you came to learn exactly how magic tricks are done, you're going to be sorely disappointed, although I may show a couple things. Without giving away the way it works, we took this to a high school talent show, and we had it down cold. And it would have worked beautifully in this room, because it's audiences here. However, in the high school, we did this in the gymnasium, where the bleachers run the full length of the basketball court. And I saw this as a problem as soon as we got there, but the show must go on. So I made some adjustments and everything else, and there's a really simple solution to this that I came up with afterwards. But unfortunately, I was there, and I'm placed in the box, and Kurt gets up on top, and I get in position for the exchange, and I look, and I'm looking into the faces of the people at this edge of the audience. And I was like, oh crap. They smiled. The people in front got a fast change, and they enjoyed it. The people on the sides, I later discovered, because I was so disappointed, I was beating myself up, I was a nervous wreck, I hated this, they got a show too. They got an insight, and they were included as part of the secret. And that was enough. It was an enjoyment for them as well. It took me years to figure this out. I brooded over this disaster at my high school talent show for years. And now I realize they were in on it. They were in the position that I wanted to be, the thing that drove me and inspired me to get involved in magic in the first place. The solution, by the way, was not to have a single sheet that you raised, but a hoop that went all the way around. And you'll see most magicians, actually, not most magicians, a good chunk of magicians will actually use a hoop when they do it. If you want to see somebody do it insanely fast, you can go over to YouTube and look for the Pendragons. Their version of Metamorphosis may be the fastest, although there's a new magician, I think it's Hans Gluck, who's into doing things as fast as possible. He might have won up them by now. So I gave up on stage magic that day. And not just because of the disaster and the embarrassment. You get over that. I gave up on it because I was lucky enough to live in St. Louis, and there was a magic shop there called DeVoe's Magic Den. And one of the guys that worked there in the shop, his name is John Mendoza. I don't know, are there other magicians out there today? So, Eric, you've heard of John. Probably. John Mendoza is an expert card technician. He is, in the inner circles of magic, he's known. He's probably, not the best, but he was phenomenal. And if I was really lucky, I would save up money and drive from way out in St. Charles down into St. Louis on a Saturday, and I might be able to buy something, or actually, John might con me into buying something that I'd probably never use. And if I was really fortunate, he'd teach me something. And I became a bit of a move monkey. And that's all I really wanted to do, was learn the next best card move. I didn't really care about the art or the performance or whether I was entertaining anybody. It was, I need to know how to do the next trick. I need to train my fingers to do whatever it is I need to do. And I did that for a long time, and I did a few shows when I was a kid. We did some close-up work, and close-up's always been my favorite area. But I don't know that move monkeys ever really succeed. Some of them do. But in order to be able to entertain and everything else, you have to have a persona, you have to be able to do a performance, you have to be able to hold people's attention. And I'm hoping to do some of that today. But we're not doing close-up magic today. That's the problem, is close-up doesn't play to a big audience. And in keeping with the discussion about how mind works, I thought we would focus today on Nellism, which means everything that I'm going to do here today, with the exception of probably one thing, is something that nobody here has seen me do before. The ACA folks who come to dinner or whatever have seen me do tricks before, and I didn't know that we were going to have this many people. For all I knew, there were going to be 10 ACA folks going, well, what do you got today? Don't show me that one you showed me at dinner. So everybody in this room is going to have a completely different experience for everything that happens today, and in life in general. The other night at dinner, I did one of my favorite cheap and easy magic effects. It's in probably every book on dinner magic, every kid's book on magic, and it involves a salt shaker, a napkin, and a quarter. And most of you have probably seen it or seen it done by somebody. The odd thing is that when I did it at Dog and Duck the other day, we were talking about this, and it was the only thing I had handy. The two people who were watching had this amazing experience that was not at all what I did. The trick is you take the salt shaker and you tap it on the quarter a couple times, and the third time or whatever, the salt shaker vanishes and goes to the table instead of the quarter. And if you're banging it on the quarter, you'd hear, and then the third time you don't hear that. They did. And both of them, after it was over, asked, how did you make the sound the third time? I didn't. There wasn't any sound. You invented the sound. It just came from your head. I think I may not have brought that. That's colossally disappointing. Oh well, I can do it with something else. The action, the way magicians work, the way your mind works, I guess, you're constantly making predictions. All of us, all the time, every second, every moment, all the time. This is the way your brain works. You're making predictions. And not just necessarily big predictions like you think of somebody in the phone books, and that's a different aspect. When I put my foot on the gas, I'm predicting that the car is going to go forward. When I'm driving here in traffic, I'm predicting the movements of everybody else in traffic and adjusting everything I do accordingly. We make those predictions based on all of our past experiences. We build up this set of knowledge that allows us to be incredibly good at making those predictions. There are actions that, when you've seen them before, you predict what's going to happen. You know. I mean, you would say you know what's going to happen when X happens. If I had a ball, which I forgot to bring, the action of throwing and catching an object is that. And if you're going to throw and catch the object really high, that's it. Caught it. Come on. Yeah. So if you're going to throw and catch it really high, that's the way the action goes. And what magicians will try to do is play off of this ability of yours to predict, so that when you throw it, for some of you in the room, that thing vanished halfway up in the air. It never went up in the air at all. But because your brain predicts that that's what's going to happen when you see that action repeated, that's what you saw. Now, I don't know how many people saw it actually, or thought they saw it start to go up in the air or not. It's different for everybody. How did we get to be such good predictors? Well, if you think about it, what interests you? What draws your attention? It's the thing that's different, that's startling, that's surprising. It's the reason why we like jokes. A joke leads down this path, and you're predicting X, and all of a sudden it's pineapple. And that makes you laugh. It's interesting. Our attention is drawn to the things that are different and interesting, because that's what gives us new information with which to make better predictions later on. Oh, I've seen that 50,000 times. I don't even need to pay attention to that anymore. But that's new. And that's the process that we go through that allows us, and I think this is, it seems clear to me anyway, that this is an evolved trait that has brought us to the point we are where we're really good at making predictions. Magicians, mentalists, con artists will all exploit this. Most of the time the goal is to make the secret, that bit of information that they have that you don't. That's how all magic works, by the way. I have a piece of information that you don't have, and you're going to make a prediction that's wrong. And I'm specifically leading you down the primrose path. You may call it misdirection. I'm not hugely a fan of that word, but it can apply. So a magician might do things like making something appear or disappear. And a lot of what the difference between a magician and a mentalist is in the character and what they're actually trying to portray. The magician, you can find them of all shapes and sizes. There's the, hey, I got a cool trick I want to show you. The kind of, I'm an almost honest magician. I'm going to fool you, and here's a neat trick. Then there's the stage magicians that do the dancing and the moving around and big flourishes and things appear. There's comedy magicians. Mentalists and magicians will usually include some mentalism effects. Mentalism includes things like precognition, clairvoyance, telepathy, reading minds, sending your thoughts, things like that. Mentalists don't normally include magic tricks in their routine because that draws the mind to, oh, this guy's just doing a trick. It removes some of the air of mystery about it. So the mentalist is somebody who's trying to portray themselves as somebody who has possibly tapped into some hidden force or ability of the mind that we don't yet understand. there's a trick that probably everybody knows that's kind of a bit also within mentalism is like psychokinesis, telekinesis, moving things with your mind. I forgot to bring a pencil. It was going to be you forgot a pencil? It's going to be the one and only trick that I'll actually teach you, but I would imagine everybody in the room probably already knows anyway. Believe it or not, there was a guy who actually got onto That's Incredible doing this. A pen's fine. Well, that pen might not be fine.
Well, what kind of pen?
I don't know, but essentially you balance the pen or pencil on the edge of the table. We'll see if it works with this. And using the power of your mind, you're supposed to make it move or turn or fall off and something like that. And all you're really doing is blowing. And when you practice it, and I'm not going to bother doing it, you can do some things that will make it look like you're not blowing. First of all, wet your lips. Kills off the noise. When you fail a couple times, really make it look like you're trying to accomplish something that's difficult. And don't blow at the pencil. Blow at the table. The air is going to move right across the table to the pencil anyway, and it's going to take some time, which means you can blow and actually turn your head towards the audience, and you're looking at them when the pencil starts to move. You can make this into something that's very impressive, which is how this simple little cheap trick got onto That's Incredible and had to be debunked by James Randi. He was also turning pages in a phone book by blowing on it too. But so I got there's this idea in magic about the two perfects theory, but I'm not going to go into detail on it. Don, name any card.
Nine of clubs.
That should have bowled everybody over. No. That trick was too perfect. I pulled the card out of there. There's no way he could have seen it. I asked him to name a card, and it matches exactly. It's too perfect. How did I do it? I cheated. I called him before the show and said, when I ask you to name a card, name the nine of clubs. I did it for a reason, and that's because magicians cheat, the con artists cheat, the fake psychics cheat, the people who are doing cold readings, warm readings, are gradually trying to approach doing hot readings where they have actual information about you. They're cheating. I'm not going to lie during any of the rest of the tricks, and there are no other stooges or anything else set up. So we don't have to worry about that. That was done just as an example, and that's why I wanted to get it out of the way earlier before I did anything else. Oh, doggone, did I forget that too? I sure did. All right. So we'll skip that, and we'll start with something simple. And for that, I'm just going to need any old volunteer. You can volunteer. Here we go. I have here 3 little safety pins, and you can look at them. Be careful with them, though, because safety pins are sharp and stuff. One has red beads on them, one has blue beads on them, one has white beads on them. I'm going to turn my back, and want you to take any one of those that you like, put it into my hand, and then take the other 2 and put them in your hand and hide them so that I can't see them. Okay? Okay. You got the other ones hidden? Mm-hmm. You're sure? Okay. I'm trying to see, the thing is, do I try and figure out from what I know about you, which is not, we've never met before, right? We didn't prearrange this or anything. But see, you have a pinkish shirt on, which means I think you handed me the red one. Did you actually hand? You did hand me the red. There we go. How you play that trick up, you could do the same, and by the way, this is a super cheap trick that you could actually make at home. You could do that trick 50,000 different ways. It's all in how you want to portray it. You could do it as, I'm going to see what I know about you and see what perhaps you gave me. Or psychometry. I'm getting a feeling from the beads about what color they are, or who touched them last, or who manufactured them, anything along those lines. I've forgot my little sheet. Let me, I could kill that up real quick. All right. Well, I'll do something different, but we'll use this anyway. I'm going to throw this ball behind my back so I get somebody roughly around. If I hit you in the head, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And whoever catches it, just pick it up, or whoever it's closest to, pick it up and throw it over your head again so I can get somebody else entirely around. There we go. So if you would, please tell me your name and come on up.
Mark.
Martin?
Mark.
Mark.
Okay.
Everybody good? Mark. So, Mark, we've never met at all.
No.
Which is good, because I was hoping we'd have some people that hadn't actually met at all. What I want to do is, in a minute, I'm going to clap my hands. And when I do, I'm going to have you name something. And don't think about it too much, just go. You ready? Name any color.
Red.
Red. I don't know what red means, but I think, let me have that ball real quick. Can you spell pretty good, and are you fairly good at geography?
We'll see.
We'll see. Red is kind of the theme for today. I mean, she handed me the red thing. You're wearing a red sweater. What I need you to do is think of any country in Europe. Europe, Scandinavia, any place like that. Don't go to Eastern Europe because their names change all the time and you probably can't spell them anyway. I can't. Think of any country in Europe, one that you're comfortable spelling, for example. Do you have one? Okay. I'd like you to imagine like this whiteboard kind of in front of you, and just don't mouth the words and don't make any signals, but see the letters out there in front of you, just like that. Okay, so you can see the entire name of this place, and let your eyes kind of go back and forth across that. Is that an A in the name that I'm seeing?
There is an A.
Yeah. And an N?
Yes, there's an A.
There is an N. This is kind of hard. Keep guys. D? There's no D. I'm terrible at that. Occasionally you're going to get some of them wrong, I guess. The D's had a loop, but the day that was it an R? Yeah, okay. If you look at capital D, it's got that in a loop, and the R is just kind of a tail off that. And E? Yeah. The thing about that's not a very impressive guess. He's the most common letter in the English language, but we're talking about non-English countries. So, it's supposed to be more impressive. C. Is there a C on there? I see as well. Yeah. So what you're actually thinking of is France, right? Okay. Good. Thank you. So, yay. That one I won't tell you how I did. We're gonna try a little game. Actually, we'll do a slight experiment here. A lot of times we get into conversations about whether or not we have free will. There have been big debates in the ACA between myself and other people as to whether or not we do. What the hell is free will? Do we have it or not? So I need somebody who's convinced that they do have free will. Is it? Oh, cool. You will work perfectly. Tell everybody what your name is. Free will. Thank you.
My name's Larry.
Larry, welcome. Everybody welcome Larry. I apologize. I tried to pick as many effects as I could that would actually play well enough on the video that we'll show later, and people will be able to see in the back of the room. We'll explain what's going on. Unfortunately, not everything works that way. You need to hold this and see he does exactly what I told him to do. Does he have free will or not? I'm not sure.
What is this?
It's something that came with the game. It's just we're going to use it as a marker. Okay? So I have here 5 cards. And some of them are face up and some of them are face down. I'm not going actually show you what they are yet. But I can switch them around and change the order. What I want you to do is take that thing and put it on any one of those 5 cards. Free choice. It's your free will. Very good. Now I'd like you to think of a number. Don't tell me yet. And for the sake of, I don't know, not screwing this up, we need a whole number, an integer, something that we can count to. Well, I mean, technically we can count 1, 1.1, 1.2, but that's not so much fun. So like 1, 2, 3, whatever. It might be more fun. Lisa's like me. So I need you to think of a number. It can be, trying to go too big because we are actually going to count to it. Okay? By the way, I need to hang on to this. This is actually my prediction. I'll set it here because I don't want anybody to think that I'm changing after the fact. We're going to count to it in just a second. So what number are you thinking of?
Oh, I give that away?
Yes, give that away.
I was thinking of 8.
8. So what you're going to do is you're going to count to 8. Starting with the card you're on, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if when you reach the end, you turn around and come back. Are you happy? Okay, just pick up your thing and begin to count.
Okay, but I'm going to hit the end here then.
Yes. So it'd be 1, 2. Go ahead.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5,
6, 7, 8.
There you go. So you've landed on a card from all these possibilities. And I will show you that I predicted this correctly because my prediction is you've landed on a face-down card. Mm-hmm. My prediction is a face-down card. I trained hard for this. I had a good chance though because 3 out of the 5 are face down. So I'm glad you didn't end up over here. The interesting thing though is that I'm going to turn some of these others up here. This is a king of clubs and a jack of clubs, and we'll turn this face up as a queen of clubs, and this is a jack of spades. You'll notice there are 5 black cards. And if you'll turn over your card that you landed on, you will see that it is the only red card, the Jack of Diamonds, which actually matches the prediction. While you figure out whether or not you have free will or not. Because I'm still undecided. It depends very much on how you define it. Red, I'm going to try and do, a couple of these games involve several people. This, and this one, you won't have to actually get up. Could I try?
It's under the table.
Did you find it? Thank you. You are the best assistant ever. All right, I'm going to walk around and you can't explain how they're done. I'm just going to use this bag, and I have here a handful of gemstones that are, there's one red one, and the rest of these are yellow. I don't know whether or not you can see. You want one? Maybe I will let you pick one. Here's the way this is going to happen. Reach in, do not look. I don't want to look. I don't want to see. So pick up one stone, close it in your hand tightly where neither of us can see, and sit there. Got it?
Did you?
I did. How could I look? Your hand's closed. You would like to take one? And you want to take one? And we'll go back here. Got it? And you can take one. And do you like one, sir? All right. And make sure you keep it hidden in your hand. Okay. I'm going to try. What I need everybody who has a stone to do is peek in your hand so that you know whether or not you have the yellow one or the red one. Because I need you to know so that I can read your mind. Some of you already cheated before I even told you. And I'm going to try to eliminate until we actually get down to the red stone. Open your hand. Yes, there we go. And the rest of you, you can give me the yellows. You don't get to keep it, dear. I might have to do this show again one day. There we go. There was. See, I know exactly where the red one is, but I forgot where the other yellow one is. So I was talking a little bit about prediction and the process that we go through, and I think this is, I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, I think it's one of the reasons why so many people apparently have ADD. It's not that they are so easily distracted that they're abnormal. I think that they're just really hyperly motivated to learn new things. Perhaps they're so good at prediction that they don't need the large sample set that we need for other things. I'm going to do it. I need a volunteer, any volunteer who'd like to be controlled and dominated. Oh. I would pick you, but come on up. Tell everybody your name and come forward. David, welcome, David. I need you to stand right there. Can you already smell the marker?
No.
I didn't get a non-smelling marker, so if I faint, it's not a diabetic coma or anything. It's just a marker. Let's see if I can, I'm going to try and make a prediction here about, actually, I'm not going to do that one. I don't always get this right, and you look like you're going to try and trick me.
What?
See, you're already trying to trick me by pretending like you didn't know what I just said. I'm going to use these three cards right here. They are from an ESP test deck. They are a star, a square, and...
Circle.
Good. All right. I'm going to mix them up so that you don't know where they are. But I get to see them. And I'm going to hold them here. Now I'm going to make a prediction for you. We're going to say that. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so I'm going to hold up any one of these. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to trick you. I think we're going to start here. You tell me whether you want to go on my left, in the center, or on my right.
Right.
My right? Was that because I put my hand there? You want to start over?
No.
We'll go on the right. You're sure? All right. We'll set that one right there on the right. On the left or in the center is the right statement.
Left.
Left it is. And oh, no, sorry. Not supposed to show him yet. Sorry. Get that underneath that rubber band there. And would you like this one to go in the middle or the middle? The middle it is. Now, you had a completely free choice, correct?
Yes.
Then explain how I managed to predict all three of them. Thank you, David. I don't know how we're doing on time. And I honestly am not completely sure exactly how much stuff I have left.
It's 12:55.
Is it?
Yes.
Sweet. I was going to, we talked a little bit about PK stuff, and I used the example of moving the pencil. When Rory Coker, how many people were here when Rory Coker was here? He came and he did some spoon bending, and I'm not going to be doing any spoon bending. But in addition to being able to like move pencils and things with your mind, if you focus, you should be able to move metal. I don't know how many people saw that. If you missed it, I apologize. What Rory did with spoons is, and I'm not going to repeat any of the spoon bending, fork bending, time bending stuff because it's been worn out and you can actually go watch a million videos where somebody can apparently, without doing anything, take a fork which is completely unprepared and right in front of your eyes, just jiggle it and have it bend just a little bit. You can get it to bend further and further. I am actually doing this with my mind. It's just that my mind is controlling my fingers. I don't know how somebody, granted it's possible I suppose that Uri Geller might actually have some psychic powers as doing it. If so, as Randy has said, he's doing it the hard way. The thing that I find more baffling than whether or not he has magical powers is how that sucker has managed to be so popular and so rich for being a two-trick pony. I brought more than 2 tricks today, and I'm not going to get rich or famous off of this. I need a volunteer who hasn't done anything and believes that I'm lying all the time. Garrett. Welcome, Garrett. How are you, Garrett? Great. Welcome. Now, you'll need to step around the front where you can actually see and help out. You didn't even actually have to come up, but now that you are, I'm glad you're here. I have here, this is a really, you can make one of these at home. You get some good cardboard. As long as you know the numbers 1 through 8. So earlier, when I asked for people to name numbers, I had a broad range. Now we're narrow. 1 through 8. In a second, I've made my prediction here ahead of time. In a second, I'm going to ask you to name a number from 1 through 8. I don't want you to think about it too much, but I want you to think about it a lot. Really focus. And you're going to have a completely free choice. You ready? No, I'm not ready. I've already made the prediction. I made the prediction before the show actually started. It's just that Garrett might not actually pick the right number. All right, I'll take the risk. Garrett, pick a number from 1 through 8.
3.
3. If you actually take a look right here, you can see that there are 8 different symbols on that side of the board. They are all completely different, correct? Well, they're relatively different. So if we take a look here, if you'd have picked, for example, the number 1, you'd have this double X thing. 2 would be this weird modified infinity sign. But you went with the number 3, which is the zigzag.
Wow.
I don't know how I did it either. All right, it's time. I've only got 2 things left that I'm actually going to do as part of the lecture. I brought some odds and ends for other things at a later time, but I like to make sure that there's good cash and prizes available for people. This is why I didn't make any money as a magician, by the way. I do free lectures and then give away cash and prizes. We'll start. I have these little bags here. They each have 3 comes before 4. Make sure I set these up here. Just like this. We're going to play a game, and I need 5 volunteers who would love to win wonderful cash and prizes. You get to go first, because I just like you. Take this die, and I want you to roll it a couple times here on the table, just to make sure that it comes up with different numbers, and there you go. Whenever you're happy, just say, I'm happy and ready to take my chances.
I'm happy and ready to bet my money and take chances.
All right, bet your money. In that case, it'll be $50 to start, $50 to roll. Okay, so you're going to roll that die, and there are 6 bags here. Whatever number you roll, that's the bag you get. I'm not going to do anything or touch anything. Roll away and take your prize. A 6. Open up the bag and show everybody what wonderful prize you've got. This is beautiful. It is an origami butterfly. By the way, these prizes, most of them were made by me. One of them, however, is worth way more than the other ones. Next, would you like to come up and get a prize? You, please. What's your name?
Lindy.
Lindy, come on up. Roll the die and take your prize. The die right there, just pick it up. If you get a 6, you'll have to roll again. I apologize. I couldn't put more numbers on it. A 5. Please take the 5. You can show everybody what you got. Is it the good one? It is a goldfish, an origami goldfish. Would you like to do one? What's your name?
Catherine?
Catherine? Grab the die, roll it. If you roll a 5 or a 6 now, you'll have to roll again. A 5, roll again. I apologize, I didn't load that one properly, and, 5, roll again. We could be here all day. What are the odds? A 5, roll again.
It's good.
6, roll again. I'm actually controlling the die with my mind to make this go on as long as possible. 5, roll again. A 1. Are you happy with the 1? There we go. Let's see what you got. You have a weird origami cube. Would you like to roll? Come on up and have a roll. Now, please try not to roll a 5, 6, or a 1. This is the problem. There are other potential solutions to this other than rolling a die. But I like the die because it's fair. Keep going. 5, 6s, and 1s don't count. 5. What are the odds? Somebody's back there doing math right now. 1. 6. 1. This is the drawback. I should have got better dice. 6. 4. We have a winner. Is it a good one?
It's a big one.
Oh, that is a good one. That's an orchid that made ages ago. There's only one more person that's going to get to roll, and you're going to have to either roll a 2 or a 3. Okay, come on. What was your name?
Lizzie.
Lizzie? Roll, please get a 2 or a 3 within the first few rolls. Because I've run out of jokes and... A 3! I'm controlling this with my mind for sure. A rose made out of that. That means that this bag is actually mine. Hopefully, since I know what they are, I already know that I got a good prize, which is everything that's in my wallet and my cell phone. And last but not least, I tried to avoid doing card tricks as much as possible, even though they are my first and only love when it comes to magic. I enjoy doing the mentalism stuff. It's fun, it kind of play, you can have some fun with it. I'm a little disturbed by the number of people who I see doing what I would say are cheap mentalist stunts and portraying it as real and bilking people. Mentalism, as it's performed on stage by guys like Darren Brown, Max Maven, Vanacek, etc., is a beautiful thing. And it's fun and entertaining, and they do some amazing things. And I haven't even, by the way, some of these effects are from Max Maven, others are from elsewhere. I haven't begun to touch on the types of things that Darren Brown focuses on. There's the area of psychological forces. For example, the most common example is, I need you to think of a 2-digit number where both digits are odd, but they're not the same. So 15 would work, but 11 wouldn't. Somewhere between 1 and 50. Have you got it? Most of you probably thought of 37. Actually, with this crowd, you might not have. But 37 is the most common one. That's one of the reasons why I don't use psychological forces. There's the other one of, think of any simple geometric shape, picture it on a whiteboard in front of you, and surround it with another simple geometric shape. Most people will have a triangle inside of a circle for several reasons. One, because that's just generally the most common. 2, because I did that when I was talking about the first symbol, and that when I was talking about the second one, and you're automatically drawn to, I'm going to surround something with some. I mean, I almost do those motions instinctively. The triangle circle thing. There's a bunch of other psychological forces like that. One thing to remember when you're seeing the stuff on TV, first of all, enjoy it. If you can figure out how it's done, if that's your goal, cool. That's what I did for years. How the heck did he do that? I'm going to backtrack and do this over and over again until I figure it out. The other thing is that, much like they do with the John Edwards show and the other various I Talk to Dead People and they actually answer buffoons, there's a lot of editing that can go on. So if you're going to do, for example, the circle, triangle, prediction or any psychological force like that. Hell, they might have filmed 10 people and just picked the one who not only got it right but had the best reaction. I'm going to do one last thing. This is one that some people in the ACA have actually already seen. This is a chance to actually win money because I have messed up at least once in the past. I have in my wallet an envelope that contains a prediction next to a $20 bill. The $20 bill is yours, whoever gets to play, if I'm actually wrong. Oh wait, that's like prayer, isn't it? That's all right. Who would like a shot at winning $20? Oh, I've already had you guys. So come on up. What's your name?
Jay.
Jay, welcome, Jay. I'm going to make this simple, and in the interest of time, I'm going to give you this deck of cards. You'll notice that at the bottom of it, there's a joker. If you get to the joker, you do not win $20.
Okay.
So hang on to that. And when I tell you to, in a moment, you're going to start dealing cards. You can deal cards. You don't have to worry. I don't ask people to shuffle in the middle of the shows because that ends up being embarrassing for some people. Just turn cards over one at a time into my hand, face up, so that you can see it.
Okay.
Don't count to a specific number. Don't look for your favorite card. Just go with your gut. I'm projecting a mental image of the card that is predicted in my wallet to you now. So start dealing. Stop whenever you'd like. Right there? Okay. Take the next card and put it face down on the table without looking at it. Okay? If you'd have stopped before that, you would have gotten that 10 and the jack. I'll take these now. Your card is right there. I want to make sure it doesn't go over. If you kept going, you've got a queen, eight of clubs. You're free. You are convinced and satisfied that you stopped exactly where you wanted to.
Yes.
And that I didn't influence you in any way.
Correct.
Then in this envelope that's in my wallet next to the 20, which I probably won't have to pull out, I have a prediction. I'm actually going to show you my prediction first. My prediction is the 3 of diamonds. There are no other cards in my little envelope here. Please, if you would, turn over the card that you stopped at. And I get to keep my money. That one actually broke the rule because I was trying to pick things that nobody in the ACA had seen. It's actually one of my favorites, and some of them have seen it. And almost all of them are still going, huh? So that's just a handful of examples of mentalism to just kind of have fun. Granted, this lecture was put together kind of quickly and mostly to make sure people got entertained a little bit on a Sunday morning. I don't want to harp or spend a great deal of time talking about how the brain processes information because, for one, I'm not an expert. But I do know that the modern experts, the people who are doing neuroscience, who are doing studies, who are trying to figure out how your brain works, what processes go through. When I'm analyzing a claim, what's the model, what's the heuristic set of questions that I ask in order to determine, is this claim believable? When I am trying to figure something out and make a prediction, what's the process my brain goes through to do that? The modern experts are discovering that it's the magicians who have the information. In the middle of the 16th century, Reginald Scott wrote a book called The Discovery of Witchcraft. Maybe John isn't there. It was a collection of court transcripts and interviews with people who had been accused and tried for witchcraft. There was a tiny section, I think 17 to 20 pages or so out of this large volume, that focused on conjuring. Juggling was what magic was called back then. And it exposes some conjuring tricks. It tells you exactly how to do them. These tricks, if you went and picked up a copy of Discovery of Witchcraft, you could do them and still be able to impress people today. Magic endures because there are people who still haven't seen it, and some of the people who've seen it don't know. And even those of us who do know might still enjoy watching the trick.
I love watching magicians. I love watching magicians do stuff I already know how to do that I've done before, just to see if they do anything different, just to see how they present it, how much fun are they having, what kind of reaction does the audience get, because I might want to steal that bit and put it in something I'm going to do. Granted, I don't ever do any real, this is the only performance I've done in the last 20 years, apart from just at a dinner table. But that book, The Discovery of Witchcraft, in 1611, I believe, after King James I, who we have to thank for the King James Bible, after he was coronated, he banned it and ordered all copies burned. So the originals are virtually impossible to find, and they cost a fortune. There was a reprinting about 50 years or so later that is also extremely expensive. You can get a cheap copy through like Amazon for $10 or so. That book was banned. I still have no idea what goes on in people's heads when they decide to ban books. For the most part, I'm happy that we live in an era now where you can't eliminate knowledge. Once upon a time, when they burned the library at Alexandria, you could eliminate knowledge. Who knows what we lost? When the knowledge is held by a handful of people, which is actually the case among magicians, I'd say, so it's a little hypocritical here, there's the risk of it being lost. And so we burned The Discovery of Witchcraft, and then we burned a bunch of witches. People went nuts for a long time in the early 17th century, burning people because they were different or scary, or because somebody said that they were different or scary, or because somebody accused them of thinking something that might have actually happened. And you might think that we're done with this. In 1999, I saw the story reposted recently, somebody got the dates wrong, but in 1999 there was a girl who was harassed and eventually expelled from school because the principal was convinced that she had put a hex on a teacher. This is the 20th century. The ACLU filed suit. I'm not completely sure what happened with it, but and I don't have all the details. It may be a silly case, but the fact that in the 20th century, the end of the 20th century, beginning our new century, people could still actually think, this girl put a hex on this person, and we got to do something about it. Other than, this girl thinks she put a hex on this person, isn't that cute? So the neuroscientists finding out what magicians have known all along, and that is that you fool yourselves. I didn't do any, I did stuff up here today, but the magic actually takes place in your mind, because that's where the problem solving happens. That's where the predictions happen. That's where you're trying to piece together what happened. And oddly enough, I bet if a few of you got together, don't do this by the way, and discussed what you did or didn't see, there would at least be one trick that was done today where you're in complete disagreement on one aspect of what happened. And that's because everybody has different experiences. It's those different experiences that I think not only help us solve problems, but make it so that the communication that happens and the sharing of knowledge benefits everybody. Because you know something I don't know, and I know something you don't know, and you know something that she doesn't know. That knowledge has to be shared. And that's all I wanted to say today. Questions, except for how I did it? Don.
What's in your box?
Personal. It's a trick that I'm not actually going to do today.
When do we get to see it?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't decided when I'm going to do it. I decided I wasn't quite ready for it today. It is a beautiful box, though. It is it's made by Dean Dill, or made for Dean Dill from his design. There were a couple of magician folks who were going to show up today that I was going to show to. Don.
It seems like, or would you care to comment on the relationship that seems to exist between magicians and free thought?
Oh, yeah. There's an inordinate, at least from my data set, which may not be represented. There's an inordinate number of free-thinking, atheist, skeptic, rational, critically thinking people among magicians. And I think it's because they know. They know how easy it is to fool people because people fool themselves. They know a little bit about what goes on in the head. They know how the first time you do a trick for somebody as a magician and you get a good reaction, that's awesome. But when they ask you questions like they asked me at dinner the other night, like how did you make that third noise? When they ask you about things that never happened, or when you listen to them describe what they saw to somebody else, and it's way better than not only what you did, but anything you could have done, that is what I enjoy. That is where the amazement comes. And I don't think that any decent magician hasn't had that experience once. And the second you do, the second you realize that that person's experience is completely divorced from the reality of what happened, all it takes is another moment's thought to begin, how do I apply that in other areas? And I think that's why you encounter so many magicians who are at a minimum skeptical about religion and supernatural claims and stuff. Also, the guy, I didn't talk too much about cold reading, and I don't do cold reading. I'm hoping to get an expert on cold reading in at some point. Max would be nice. I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going. The cold reading process is actually really simple, and there is a method for cold reading that I don't do and I wouldn't do. I think it's mostly kind of acting, and it's a level of interaction that I'm not comfortable with and may never be in a performance. On a personal level, I'll talk to you about anything. There's a really simple two-step process that could make anybody appear to be a very good psychic from cold reading. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's really simple. And anybody who's actually gone out and discovered this and read about it and tried it, when they see, you can turn that off because I don't want to get sued. Oh, I won't say names. When they see these various psychics on TV who are doing their trick, doing the cold reading trick that they know about that they would use in their normal act, in their hypnosis act or the mentalism act or whatever, they know this guy is faking it. This guy is full of crap. It's like, before when I had to dance around the whole Uri Geller thing because that guy's lawsuit happy. He sued Randy, I don't know how many times. From what I can see, he's doing tricks. He's doing bits of magic, and not even particularly well in all circumstances. There are occasions on film where he's been busted. Videotape is the bane of magicians in that arena anyway, which is why this might not go on the internet. Hi. I'll have to watch it first and see if there's any, and I'll talk to Aaron and see if I tip too much in there. But I've forgotten what I talked about. Oh, when they see the cold readers, they know they're faking it. The words that come out, the way they go from one step A to step B, I can't really explain it in great detail, but if you get a wrong answer, steer them towards something else that makes it sound like you were right. And if you get a right answer, always repeat the fact that you got the right answer. What that does is it makes it look like you're getting way more hits than you are. Your name is Philip, right? Well, okay, great. I'm glad you did that because it touches on something that I didn't really get to talk about. The people who get the best readings, the people who are most convinced that they talked to a psychic, they're the people who went there wanting to talk to a psychic. They're the people who went there with the expectation that I'm going to have somebody read my mind or talk to somebody that's crossed over. And so they're going into it wanting to believe, and they're wanting to participate. And their body language gives information. They might, move their mouth in response to something. When I was talking about prediction earlier, people will often start talking together. It's a matter of predicting what the other person is going to say, because human experience is very similar. We're not vastly different from each other. We are incredibly similar to each other. And it doesn't matter, granted there are some cultural differences and things, But in general, we're all human beings, and we have a lot of the same experiences. When you see that, it's easy to start making predictions in that area. And when you have a willing subject who wants not to be fooled, they've already fooled themselves into wanting something that they think is real, they're going to go along with it, and they're going to give more information. And you could say, don't say anything yet because I'm working, but you had somebody pass like in the last couple of years or so that was very important to you. And before you get to narrowing down to the couple of years point, you had somebody pass. You might get an imperceptible nod, or you might get a slight quizzical look, or an eyebrow starts to raise to let you know that you're going down the wrong path. And you can tailor your question in the middle to move off into a different direction. And when the people who know how to do that and know that it's a skill and a trick see the other people on television doing the same thing and then claiming that they're actually talking to the dead, I think it'd have to drive them nuts, and they would have to then use that same prediction mechanism, that same ability to infer from past data, that if I fake it, and he fakes it, he fakes it, he fakes it, and this guy claims to be doing it for real, but seems to be using the exact same methods I do, I'm going to predict he's faking it too, and he's just lying about faking it. And I think that's why you end up with a lot of magicians, especially who are atheists and skeptics. Anything else? Well, Don?
You want to say anything about ethics of magic? You've touched on it.
Well, there have been debates, specifically among the Psychic Performers Alliance thing or whatever, about whether or not whether or not you should ethically, if you're a mentalist performing, start your show with a disclaimer. Everything that I'm about to do here today is, the result of some expertise or hidden knowledge. It's not any special mind power. It's something you all could do if you knew the secret and had worked at it. There are those who say that such a disclaimer is stupid and unnecessary because people have generally, when they're going to go see a mentalist, paid to go to a performance. The guy doing Hamlet doesn't walk out on stage beforehand and say, "Excuse me, we're going to fake all of this." Oh, you're not really doing it? Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you. Yeah. On the other hand, there are some performers whose persona is such that in the process of becoming the character and trying to draw the audience in, if they never point out to anybody that they're not using some kind of special psychic ability or whatever, if they allow the audience to leave and continue and spread this information, there may be ethical dilemmas there. Because, and I think what's happened with a lot of the psychics is that they got to where they fooled themselves. Prediction is a skill. Communication is a skill. Interacting with other people is a skill. When you start developing that, when you do it all the time, and you talk to people all the time, and you start getting to the point where you know what they're going to say before they say it, you no longer have to do the work of cold reading. You no longer have to lead them down the path. You could actually convince yourself, if you're not willing to be skeptical and critical of your own abilities, that maybe you have tapped into some extrasensory perception. You haven't, or at least nobody's been able to demonstrate that they have. But. All right, well, thanks everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting me. Sure.